What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Yahoo with a 12-team half-point PPR mock. We've got the 10th pick overall. Should be pretty entertaining. And while we wait for our pick, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDavePigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section, do you agree, disagree with these picks, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. And lastly, make sure to get yourself a copy of the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, now available for purchase. Everything you can want at a great price. Top 150 overall player rankings in standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, tiers, projections, along with general fantasy advice. Details in the description. But with that being said, let's take a look at what's happened so far in this draft. And the first 5 picks are in. They are as follows: Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, and then Derrick Henry. So, the main thing that stands out for me here is, I continue to say it, Cooper Kupp, being ranked this high across some platforms. Personally, it's not something that I would be, going by. I, again, continue to be going with the running backs at this point in time. And speaking of running backs, we are on the clock and, we've got some decisions to make. So we're picking 10th overall here. We can go Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. They're kind of the top names for me. I'll go safe. I'll go somebody like a Joe Mixon. Nothing too sexy, but, I think he can get the job done. And then I do think we're going to be able to get one of like a Aaron Jones or a Saquon Barkley in the second round. Saquon Barkley is somebody that I would draft in the middle of the second round. I feel good about that. I think he's underrated right now. Or we could go with a wide receiver. We'll see how this thing shakes up. But let's quickly give you a little bit of a larger recap of this first round. So Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler in that order. Nothing to really complain about there. Then Cooper Kupp, again, I told you guys a little bit too early for my liking, followed by Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. No issues there. Then Jamar Chase. This is half PPR. So, Jamar Chase maybe slightly higher, but not by much. I would still have Justin Jefferson as my number 2 wide receiver. Then you see Najee Harris, followed by the aforementioned Justin Jefferson. Then Joe Mixon, who we selected, followed by Nick Chubb and Stephon Diggs to round out the first round. And then Alvin Kamara. Kamara's an interesting guy. There's some rumors out there that he might miss like 6 games. I don't know how valid they are. Typically, I like to reserve, comments on that until we get some actual confirmation on it. And because of that, 6 games seems like a large suspension. It's possible, but I think it'd probably be like a couple of games. I don't think it would be a 6-game, like almost, a third of the season type of deal for him getting in an altercation during the Pro Bowl. But we'll see. There's still some time. But we're back on the clock here. We could go wide receiver. Devontae Adams just went off the board, so he was my next best available player at the wide receiver position. So I'm not going to go Lamb. I'm not going to go Kelsey. I'm going to go another running back. I'm going to go Aaron Jones. I mentioned him before. I do have him ranked higher than Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to be more involved offensively. You don't necessarily have the injury concerns. Not that with Barkley, he's 2 years removed from an ACL, so I feel a lot better there. But either way, we start out this draft with 2 guys, Mixon and Aaron Jones, that I'm very, very comfortable with being our 1-2 punch at wide receiver, at running back. Speaking of wide receiver, however, the reason I had that on my brain is because, we were potentially looking at that position, and I could have gone with that in the second round. But after the top 5 wide receivers are off the board, to me, there's kind of a significant, dip in production, in rankings and tiers, whatever you want to call it. Like Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase, Jefferson, Diggs, and Devontae Adams are my top 5 guys. Then afterwards, I do think there's a gap between, let's say, a CeeDee Lamb, a Mike Evans, a Tyreek Hill, a T. Higgins. You get the point. But so for that reason, I think that it made a lot more sense to go running back. And I didn't want to take, a tight end. I think that we can get some pretty good value, potentially like in the 4th, 5th, 6th round on a Kittle, on a Waller. That's, kind of been the theme in the last couple of mocks that I've done. So let's see if we can take advantage of that. Other big names in the 2nd round, Javonte Williams. Look, I continue to say this about Williams. I sound like a broken record, but even though the upside is there, I think people are failing to realize, potentially the worst case scenario or the floor, even the most likely scenario, if you will. And that's that there could be a running back by committee. It could be Denver Broncos 2021 2.0 just a year later. And that's basically, Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon splitting carries. And you're going to have a handful of games where it's going to be Javonte Williams, but then also a handful of games where it's going to be Melvin Gordon. And that's not worth it. I think it's a little bit too risky for a early second round selection at that. So again, like if I had to come up with 5 guys, 5 big name early draft capital names that are risky, regardless of the position, Javonte Williams would definitely be on that list. So I'd rather have gone with somebody like a DeAndre Swift, somebody like a Saquon Barkley. And, speaking of some of those guys, like Saquon Barkley is still available. After Javonte Williams, you see Leonard Fournette, CeeDee Lamb, DeAndre Swift. So good value on DeAndre Swift there. Travis Kelce, then towards the end of the 2nd round, then Mike Evans. So Evans maybe, kind of going up some draft boards a little bit, but it makes sense. Especially with all the pass catchers in Tampa Bay going down, retiring, whatever the case might be. Then Deebo Samuel, Mark Andrews, and T. Higgins to round out the 2nd round. So pass catchers, that is the theme of the end of the 2nd round, kind of when the value for those guys is really there. Then Josh Allen with the first pick in the 3rd round, way too early. I continue to say it. Like, if it's up to me, I'm waiting until, even on the tier 1 guys, like I wouldn't pull the trigger until the 4th round. Just still way too much great talent. Tyreek Hill then, and then a run on running backs. So James Conner, Antonio Gibson, there goes Saquon Barkley, our dude. Unfortunate. I would have loved to have gotten him in the end of the 3rd round, followed by David Montgomery and Cam Akers. There's still somebody like a Ezekiel Elliott on the board. Keenan Allen is there. There's Josh Jacobs, and just like that, like all those guys that I mentioned are off the board. Specifically Keenan Allen, I guess, Michael Pittman. But Ezekiel Elliott is still there. I think he's a pretty decent choice. Let's see what we have to work with at wide receiver, since we do need to address that position. I'm looking at it, and we could go the way. I'm just going to go running back, honestly. I think Ezekiel Elliott's the pick here. I'm not going to overthink it. I think he's got top 10 running back potential. And, I do think a lot of, if you will, the downside or the disappointment of what you saw from him last season is because he was playing hurt for the majority of the year. And I still think at least this year, like short term, he's going to have a borderline top 10 season. So to me, he's a pretty safe pick here in the 3rd round. We've got our 3 running backs, some really good depth. So now we can go with wide receiver. I'm not looking at tight end quite yet. At wide receiver, Deontay Johnson, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton. I don't mind Terry McLaurin with an upgrade at quarterback. Mike Williams is somebody that I like. I like the upside there. You know what? I'll go with Mike Williams, actually. I have him ranked a little bit higher. I think that, Higgy is on a better offense with a better quarterback. I would hate to, just miss out on Mike Williams in the next round. And I've said this for a while. Like, I don't think that the gap between Keenan Allen and somebody drafting Mike Williams should be all that large, like around 2 rounds, which I think if we didn't take Mike Williams could have happened. So I'm happy with where we got him. I think it's decent value. Then you see Deontay Johnson followed by George Kittle. So, Kittle does go there, but it's the 4th round. I'm curious to see where Darren Waller will go. If he's available for us in the 5th round, I think that's a logical pick. Now you're seeing a little bit of a run on the running back position again. I honestly, I hate the A.J. Dillon pick in the 4th round. What are you doing with that selection? Travis Etienne, folks, is still on the board. The only reason I didn't go Etienne is because I had Ezekiel Elliott already. And like, I didn't want to draft a bench player. I knew I had to address the wide receiver position, but and also like to switch it up a little bit. I feel like I just talk about Travis Etienne every single freaking draft. Like he's the Austin Eckler of this year for me. Last year, I was just saying Austin Eckler, Austin Eckler, Austin Eckler whenever he's available. Just go Austin Eckler. You won't regret it. And I feel like that's the same situation now for Travis Etienne, except you can get him in like the 4th or 5th round, which is even crazier. So with that being said, like there's no reason why A.J. Dillon, a clear backup that won't have the same pass catching upside, should be going before as much as I don't like Breece Hall, like he shouldn't be going before Breece Hall, before Josh Jacobs, before Elijah Mitchell. There goes Darren Waller at the start of the 5th round, so we miss out on him. Oh well, it is what it is. And see, Travis Etienne just went in the beginning of the 5th round. Like that's amazing value. I guarantee you Etienne is going to outproduce so many of these running backs. Like there's no chance he doesn't outproduce A.J. Dillon. Just absolutely zero chance. Like I'm pretty confident he's going to outproduce a Antonio Gibson, a Cam Akers. Like those guys went almost 2 rounds before him. So yeah, it's pretty wild in my opinion. Damian Harris then goes. So this is working out all right for us in terms of getting a high quality wide receiver next. So Terry McLaurin, Allen Robinson would be my top 2 choices. Terry McLaurin, as soon as I say that, obviously he goes off the board. So I wouldn't be shocked if Allen Robinson is next. I do feel like his ADP has gone up, or maybe I'm just getting confused here a little bit. I've done so many of these mock drafts, whether it's on Yahoo, whether it's on ESPN. I think it's ESPN that has Allen Robinson ranked like extremely low, but doesn't really matter because he gets back to us, and that is bananas. So welcome to the team, Allen Robinson, because the picks before him were Miles Sanders and Singletary. So, I mean, I'm going to take Allen Robinson all day, every day. At running back at this point in time, I think we've kind of fallen off the cliff. So, yeah, I mean, I'm either going to take a wide receiver or a quarterback. Actually, no, the top quarterbacks are all off the board, so it's going to be another wide receiver. And it's going to be probably Marquise Brown. Let's quickly look at these draft results. I just wanted to see when Lamar Jackson. So Lamar Jackson went in the 4th round. Yeah, I didn't even notice that while we were, breaking down the other selections. But yeah, the top quarterbacks are off the board. Josh Allen. 2 quarterbacks went in the 4th round with Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Then in the 5th round, you saw Justin Herbert. You saw Joe Burrow. I have no idea how in the hell Kyler Murray went after Joe Burrow. That shouldn't be happening. I think people are just getting caught up on last year for the Cincinnati Bengals and then what Joe Burrow did at the end of the year in the Super Bowl run. But folks, draft Kyler Murray ahead of Joe Burrow. So I'll just say that now. Then Rashad Penny, we went with Marquise Brown. So we actually went 3 running backs and then 3 straight wide receivers. I really like how it worked out for us at the wide receiver position, considering we didn't take our first one until the 4th round. So all these guys, I continue to say it, in my opinion, have top 15 upside. Like Mike Williams is an excellent offense. Allen Robinson, same situation, playing opposite Cooper Kupp. Marquise Brown is going to be the main wide receiver for Kyler Murray without DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks. And then the Cardinals just traded away a 1st-round pick for him. Like, he's going to be utilized, you know what I mean? And last year, he was breaking out with Lamar Jackson. You better believe with a better passer in Kyler Murray that he can continue on that trajectory. So I really like that Marquise Brown selection. Now, here in the next couple of rounds is where we're going to get to the point of, okay, should we address the tight end position? Should we address the quarterback position? The top tight ends are off the board. And, as soon as I say that, another one goes off the board in TJ Hawkinson. But kind of breaking down the tight end position, the way this draft is unfolded, we saw Kelsey and Mark Andrews go towards the end of the 2nd round. Then in the 4th round, Kyle Pitts was the first pick there, followed by George Kittle towards the middle of the 4th round, and then Darren Waller at the start of the 5th round. I think that's pretty good value on Waller. Definitely. I was hoping he'd fall to us towards the end of the 5th. Then I would have gone with Waller and then gotten another wide receiver. I think that would have been very, very good value. And then you see Dalton Schultz go in the 6th round, and TJ Hawkinson there as well. So, those are guys that I think there's like probably another tier break. So I might have waited around to select them, especially TJ Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson is going to kind of be in for a bit of a disappointing season. Just way too many targets now in Detroit, and Jared Goff is like no Patrick Mahomes. Just the passing upside isn't there. The volume isn't going to necessarily be there for these pass catchers. So I think Hawkinson is going to be kind of touchdown dependent, and it's going to be up and down. It's going to be a little bit frustrating. So I am, as much as it hurts me to say this, I'm out on TJ Hawkinson this season. Let's see what happens now. Quickly looking at the best players available, I mean, there's still some excellent wide receivers with huge upside. Like Rashad Bateman is still there. Like Michael Thomas is still there. He's somebody that has huge upside. At running back, you could take a chance on Melvin Gordon. You got Tony Pollard as a handcuff. All intriguing, candidates. Tight end. Let's see what's left here at tight end. Dawson Knox, Freiermuth, Gronk. I mean, Gronk retired, so it's not really a situation I'm looking to invest in. Zach Ertz would probably be my next best tight end. And then, let's see how many teams have a tight end. Let's see what happens here. Most everyone has a tight end. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 teams, 4 including myself, that doesn't have a tight end. So I'll take Zach Ertz here. I think he's the next best available tight end. He's got some decent upside. So yeah, the team afterwards went tight end as well. So I guess it was technically a possibility that they could have gone Zach Ertz, even though I guess they're an auto pick, so it would have been just the next best available player. Oh well, it is what it is. Let's kind of round out this roster. What I like to do in these mock drafts is whenever we get to the point of, okay, these folks are starting to pick kickers and defenses, I like to round out our team. But I will say, at this point, I'm going to get a little bit greedy. I'm going to add another wide receiver. I'm going to add Rashad Bateman, a guy that I really like to break out. And then since I think people are going to wait on the quarterback position, that was the main logic there, why I didn't take one now. I'm going to take one of these 3 guys. I'm going to take either Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, or Derek Carr. If I had to kind of go and rank them in terms of preference, I'd say Russell Wilson is probably the safest bet. Derek Carr is my breakout candidate. So, he's right there with Russell Wilson. I guess if we want to play it safe, you go Wilson. And then Trey Lance is like the high upside guy, very low floor that people are just calling like the next, big thing. But I'm a little bit hesitant to say that just because, again, even though it's probably going to happen, it hasn't happened yet in terms of the 49ers saying, okay, we're 1,000,000% going with Trey Lance. So that's my worry there. But you know what? Let's queue up a quarterback here because, again, more defenses are going off the board. So no need to, really break that down. I think we've gotten to a point where, assuming you can kind of plug in one of those quarterbacks, breaking down this roster, we went running backs the first 3 rounds, Mixon, Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott, then wide receiver heavy afterwards, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Marquise Brown, we have Marquise Brown on our bench. That's awesome value. Rashad Bateman as well on our bench. So some real nice breakout candidates. We got Zach Ertz as a guy that I think is going to be, borderline, maybe even top 5 tight end, at least while DeAndre Hopkins is out. So I like that value there. And now at quarterback, I think I saw Russell Wilson go off the board. So let's just queue up Derek Carr. I'm pretty confident that he is going to be there for us in the 9th round. But overall, if I had to give, a draft grade here, I'm pretty happy with this team, honestly. In like the next 2 rounds, if we get, let's say, a Derek Carr and a Cole Kmet as that 1-2 punch, is that, combo, with Cole Kmet being a backup to Zach Ertz and another high upside guy, potential breakout that I like. I think this is a B+ roster. But hey, I guess let me know your thoughts in the comment section, whether you agree or disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. And again, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. It has everything you can want at a great price. Details in the description. But with that being said, we will see you guys in future videos.